Hello friends! Like many young people, 20-year-old Daisy Owen from Britain loves spending time in noisy bars with friends. Many of their nights ended with funny and unforgettable memories. However, Daisy will forever remember one night especially vividly. The stress and sense of hopelessness made her panic. At a moment when she had lost all hope, help came from a person whom she usually avoided, and under different circumstances would have likely never spoken to. But as they say, life is full of surprises. It was Sunday morning when Daisy returned home in a taxi, and when trying to pay, was horrified to find out that she left her purse in the bar. Of course, she was quick to question and criticize herself. How was it possible that she left without her bag that had so many important items in it? Among other things, the purse contained £300, her government ID, and phone. She was most upset about the phone because, like everyone else, she stored a lot of valuable information on it, ranging from passwords and access to social networks to bank information and meaningful pictures. Most likely, Daisy simply forgot to grab her handbag when leaving the bar. At that point, however, she could not return to the bar for a number of reasons. She didn't have enough money for another taxi, and in any case, the bar was closed and would not open until the following evening. She paid for the taxi with cash that was lying around her house and decided to return to the bar the following night. She did, however, realize that it was unlikely that fate would smile upon her. It was likely that the handbag was long gone. As was to be expected, when Daisy arrived at the bar, the administration simply shrugged. Nobody reported finding a bag, and Daisy got lost in the crowd, so it was impossible to see the bag or its absence on the security cameras. Daisy gave up hope of ever seeing her valuables again and was upset when she returned home. That evening, however, her life changed. Only a few hours later, she would begin to look at life completely differently. It was Davy's friend who gave her the good news. Apparently, some person found her bag and wanted to return it. Moreover, he had been calling all over Daisy's contacts, telling them about his find. He couldn't give them an exact address, but gave them directions to a place where he could be found. Of course, Daisy was overjoyed when she headed to retrieve her things. At that point, she couldn't even imagine who this kind-hearted person was. Daisy borrowed her friend's phone and headed to the agreed-upon meeting place. After arriving, she called her own phone. What happened next totally shocked her. Imagine this, her phone rang next to a homeless person who was sitting on a park bench. At first, Daisy got scared, but having mustered up the courage, she decided to approach the stranger, who at first glance did not inspire much confidence. As it turned out, her bag was safe and sound in the possession of Paul Calderbank, a homeless man who spent 2 days looking for the bag's owner. What surprised Daisy the most was that the homeless man knew perfectly well what was inside her purse. Still, despite his difficult life circumstances, he didn't take a single pound, not to mention touch her other belongings. Needless to say, this is a 1 in a million case, so Daisy decided to have a little chat with the homeless man. Paul said that he had been living on the streets for 4 years as a result of his difficult life circumstances and several mistakes that he had made. He usually spent his nights on the same block as the bar. Generous youth often gave him money, and in general, the lively parties prevented him from losing heart on cold nights. Throughout all his time on the streets, the man remained true to his principles and never took what belonged to others. An opportunity to steal something presented itself almost every day. The drunk young people often left things behind. On that Sunday morning, Paul was walking on the street searching for food when he saw a small velvet black purse lying on the pavement. Inside were the owner's important papers, money, and phone. Most likely, Daisy dropped it while getting into a taxi, and it just lay there on the road. Paul said that he thought about bringing the purse to the bar, but he had doubts regarding the safety of Daisy's belongings there. Not all bar personnel would take it upon themselves to try to find the bag's owner. Of course, Paul could have acted differently and taken all the contents for himself, but looking at the woman's handbag in his hands, he empathized with the pain of its owner. On the one hand, he thought that it maybe was okay to use the money to get food, but on the other hand, he knew that by returning the bag, he was doing the right thing and acting righteously like every person should. Daisy said that Paul was a kind person who perhaps naively believed in the power of good deeds. In general, Paul's story really shocked Daisy. He was not a narrow-minded or mean person. It's just that his fate and lifestyle were very different from those comforts that all of us had grown accustomed to. In addition, when she offered him a generous reward in the amount of the same 300 pounds, he refused the money. He said that he located her not in the hopes of getting a reward, but because he saw it as an opportunity to do some good, which made him happy. When Daisy returned home, she shared her story in detail on social media. A feeling that she did not properly thank the kind man didn't leave her. After a night of reflection, Daisy firmly decided that she could not just leave Paul on the streets. She organized an online campaign to raise funds for Paul's housing and food. She also decided to help him look for work and, in general, help him return to a normal life. To her surprise, acquaintances and strangers were touched by the story and responded to the young woman's request. So, through joint efforts, Daisy managed to raise more than $5,000 in less than a week. When Daisy contacted Paul to transfer the collected funds, the man did not believe what was happening. He accepted the money only after he was convinced that hundreds of people really did wish to thank him for his kind actions. Soon the man rented himself a room and deposited the rest of the money. 2 weeks later, the money doubled. Paul was offered a job in a carpentry shop. And of course, he happily accepted it. Daisy was determined to keep in touch with Paul and help him in any way possible. I'll get ahead of myself to say that Paul did not disappoint. Several years have passed since then, and the man's life improved significantly. Such stories make you believe in the power of good and the importance of giving people chances. Unfortunately, we are used to expecting greed from every person. But as you can see, this is not always the case. Friends, how would you have acted in Paul's place? Make sure to share your opinions in the comments. That's all for today. Rate the video if you liked it, and see you soon. Bye.